Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Treasure Theory, where we talk about all things cards and collectibles and how to invest in cardboard responsibly. We're doing some crazy stuff today. We're outside touching grass again. I think it's the second time this month. The leaves are falling. It's beautiful. This beard is growing immaculately. Quite frankly, needs a trim. But most importantly, the One Piece market is booming. But there's a lot of fears that I'm seeing circulate in the One Piece card game that are quite concerning, and I wanted to address some of those fears that a lot of people seem to be having about the One Piece TCG and the market in general. But before we get into that, guys, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Guys, the channel has been steadily growing. We are on our way to 4,000 subscribers. Y'all are awesome, okay? Can't believe you even watch my videos. So, appreciate you. Bless. Don't forget, Luffy will be king of the pirates. Okay, that was cringe. And don't forget to use code PAPA if you want some gamer subs, you want some big waifu yitties on your cup. Anyways, if you want some gamer subs, use code PAPA or treasure down, get 10% off. Anyways, let's get into it. Okay, so let's get down to business. So guys, there's a lot of concern that the One Piece TCG, the market, is in a huge bubble, and we're going to see a huge market crash, or there's one coming up. Why are people saying this? Well, if you haven't been paying attention to the One Piece market, a lot of cards are blowing up. We've got a lot of mangas. That's right, I'm saying it properly today. A lot of mangas have been really taking off. You know, there was a Soki King manga card that used to be like $250, $300. It's now like $1,000 freaking dollars or close to it. Don't even get me started on the PSA 10s, but basically the mangas, the PSA 10s of these have exploded. There's just been a lot of explosions going on in general. For a lot of cards. We see this Boa Hancock from the OPO2 set that's like $500-$600, which is insane, because if you saw my last video, I actually got the Son Goku version SP, and that was only about $100, but we're seeing things exploding in pockets in the One Piece card game. And it seems like there's some market manipulation going on. It seems like things are blowing up in price, and people are getting worried, rightfully so. But there's a couple of things I want to really address here. First of all, we're nowhere near as bad as Pokemon right now. However, I do worry that might change soon. We are seeing a lot of people spilling into the One Piece card game, buying up a lot of cards, and I think that may be what we're seeing here. But it's not full blown yet, because obviously, you can still find cards for good prices. It seems to be obviously the main ones, like we've seen the Oda signature card, One Piece or Luffy card blow up. It's like freaking almost like $10,000 Canadian now, which is insanity. What is that, like 8,000 US? I don't know. But we're seeing like the top cards really blow up, which is unfortunate because I never got a chance to get those. But more importantly, we're just seeing the main stuff blowing up, but there's a lot of things under the surface that you still have time to get. We're seeing the booster boxes starting to explode in price. Granted, they're still decent prices, but I do worry that they're going to soon get out of reach. I'm talking specifically about the older sets, OP1 to probably OP6. EBO1 is starting to blow up. PRBO1 is like crazy right now, which is why I'm holding on to EBO2, and quite frankly, I'm trying to build that set, but I digress, okay? What I'm trying to say is prices are starting to reflect that there's something going on in the One Piece market. Am I worried that we're in a bubble and it's going to pop soon? Quite frankly, I'm going to say no, because first of all, One Piece is probably at the strongest it's ever been in history. The IP is exploding. The episodes have been crazy. We're at the end of Egghead right now, and the episodes have been fantastic and exciting. OP13's coming out, reflecting the current place we are in the show. The manga is in like an insane arc in the story right now, which has been blowing people's minds. I'm talking about Elbaf and God Valley and all that stuff. So, Oda's still cooking, and the IP is the strongest it's ever been. I really think One Piece is on an upward trajectory right now, and I think we're starting to see that reflect in the One Piece market. Now, when we look at Pokemon's a bit of a different story, because Pokemon, it's a bigger market. There's a lot more going on in there. One Piece, I would argue, is a little more niche when it comes to this stuff. Granted, it's one of the top TCGs right now. But Pokemon, there's just so much going on in there. And, I would say there's a lot of market manipulation. I don't know the market that well, like I know the One Piece market, but it looks pretty dicey right now. I wouldn't want to be throwing $4,000 on a Pokemon card right now. But maybe I'm wrong about that. We're only talking about One Piece, so that's what I want to focus on. But, like, the One Piece IP is the strongest it's ever been. We're getting tons of new sets coming out. That's been very consistent. The quality of the card game has just been on an upward trajectory. Prices are starting to climb, and people are paying attention. Now I know a lot of people are worried that maybe none of this matters, but something else I want to bring up is, outside of the One Piece market, outside of the Pokemon market or any TCG, we need to consider a couple things. Look at the broader markets. Look at the S&P. Look at crypto. There's a lot of correlation going on with the prices of cards right now because a lot of investor bros, crypto bros, are coming in and, they're trying to dip their hand in different honeypots, and obviously the TCG has become like a new speculative asset, and obviously people are going for the top picks. Again, we're talking Magic, we're talking Pokemon, we're talking One Piece. I don't hear too much about Union Arena. I know Flesh and Blood is kind of getting popular, and there's other TCGs out there, but I mean, it's such a strange place right now. I'm seeing you see these SpongeBob cards blowing up right now with autographed signature character cards. Those are chase cards from the voice actors. It's been interesting. It would be an interesting play if they did that for the One Piece cards. But, I think when it comes to the One Piece TCG, we really have to be aware of a lot of markets outside of it. We need to pay attention to, what's going on in the world, economics, supply and demand, all that fun stuff. And again, at the end of the day, that's really what it all comes down to. There's supply and demand. If there's low supply and high demand, the prices go up. People love One Piece. One Piece is in a great place right now, and I personally don't think a crash is coming anytime soon. However, before you click away, there is something we need to be aware of. I am in no way, shape, or form a fortune teller. I cannot see into the future. I am guessing. Based on all the information that I've seen and collected, I am taking an educated guess that we're going to be in a good place. But Black Swan events do happen, okay? And if you don't know what a Black Swan event is, it's essentially an unforeseen circumstance. Like, 2020 disrupted the economy, disrupted the world, disrupted our lives. There are other examples of this as well, like wars and, economic turmoil, which we're seeing, okay? Is the world in the best place right now? No, not at all. And the One Piece TCG is not safe from that, okay? So we need to realize that although the One Piece market is doing really well, it's really showing how great the IP is doing. Even though One Piece is doing really well, the cards are blowing up, compared to a lot of others. It is not safe from tragedy, is not safe from economic factors. And could there be a drop in price over that stuff? Absolutely. If we go into, World War III, not looking too good, your cards aren't going to matter. If water all of a sudden starts running out in the world or in your country, or your dollar deflates more, or the price of food starts to skyrocket, all of a sudden people can't afford cards. I mean, granted, they barely can afford cards anyways. I mean, have you seen have you seen Pokemon cards? They're like $15 a pack here in Canada, which is nuts. What is that? 11, 12 bucks US? Cards are beginning to become really expensive, but that's besides the point. I really do think if you're one of the lucky people to hold on to some sealed booster box product or get your hands on some of the earlier chase cards, like the earlier manga cards, that owed a signature card, the serialized cards, and if you got them in PSA 10s, boy oh boy, you are in a great place right now. I do think there is some inflation. I do think there's some market manipulation happening in the One Piece card game, which I think a lot of people in the community are paying attention to, because obviously, I'm a collector. A lot of people play the game, and the One Piece market also, the prices reflect a lot on playability and decks and stuff like that as well. So obviously, a lot of cards will pop up randomly and do really well. Like I saw in PRBO2, the oh my god, what's her name? Pudding. The Pudding SP. Beautiful, gorgeous card. I love this card. Apparently it's great in decks, but from a collector's point of view, I just love it because of the art. I love it, the little details in the tape. That's her whole thing. She can change memory. But obviously in the card game, people are like, well, hey, this is a great card. And some people like to put money in decks. I've seen like $10,000 decks, and I'm just like, guys, this is crazy. This is weird status stuff going on at like a low-level card game shop. Like you're in the wrong place, okay? Like, you wouldn't know if these guys were on yachts. They probably are on yachts playing their decks, but like juiced out with like the top cards. But anyways, us poorer folk can't afford that, but we can navigate these markets. We can be smart about what we're doing with our money, and we can invest wisely. And of course, none of this is financial advice. I'm just a guy, you know. I'm not some crazy expert, but I love the One Piece card game. I'm always looking at prices. I'm always, you know, I've studied economics and stuff, so, you know, take what I say with a grain of salt. But it pays to do research, guys. It pays to explore and to research and study. If you don't like crypto, you should start studying it. Even if you don't like it or you don't agree with it or all this shit. Guys, listen. The markets don't care about your feelings, okay? I don't like math, but I have to learn math right now. I'm learning math, and I fucking hate it. But I'm a dum-dum in the education world if I can't do math and go into business. So, you know, I gotta learn. Same with economics. You want to learn how to invest and how to properly navigate this market, you gotta learn economics. You gotta know what's going on in the markets. You gotta know what's going on in the world. I mean, hey, if Bandai came out and was like, hey, we're gonna reprint all of these sets, people be freaking out. Granted, these reprint sets are really showing that that's not the case, because they keep throwing in nuggets in there, new SPs, new mangas, so they're smart. They know what they're doing. But just kind of to wrap this all up, do I think the One Piece market is teetering on the edge of a collapse? As long as nothing crazy goes on in the world, no black swan events, no. I think the One Piece market's going to continue to rise. I think older cards and older booster boxes are going to continue to go up in price over time, and I think we're going to see a lot of boom going on in the One Piece IP. Now, what about Pokemon? Can I say the same for Pokemon? No, I can't. Pokemon is so big right now. Look at the sunshine. Oda's happy I'm talking about this. The Pokemon market is just huge and sophisticated, if you ask me. But, you know, coming back to the One Piece market, I really do think this is a great time to get the cards you're really after while you still can. I really wanted the Oda signature card when it was like $1,200, and I regret not getting it. That was a year ago, by the way. It's like out of reach now, which is sad. Same with the Gear 5 Luffy cards, the Gear 5 mangas. Crazy, insane prices. There's some lower end ones, but even Rayleigh's gone up. And Rayleigh was probably one of the lowest ones. So, even the Luffy, the Gear 4 Snake Man Luffy manga card I got, I almost said it. You know, I posted a short, actually one of my most popular shorts on the channel. I was like, hey, I invested $1,000 in this card. Was it worth it? So many people were ragging on me, being like, you're an idiot, this was stupid. Now the card's going up again. Look at that. Now I'm getting comments of people being like, okay, maybe, you know, it's down a little bit, but it's going up, you know? It's just funny. Like, this is a perspective problem. People just don't, they just lack the perspective. They don't understand that it's not timing the market. It's time in the market, okay? And a couple other things, but if you're going to buy a bunch of random One Piece characters and hope they're all going to go up in price, that's not really a great call, but I digress. I think the One Piece market is in a good place right now. I don't think you should be worried. I don't think you should be blowing all of your savings on this. Be financially smart. Don't just decide to invest all of your money into cards. That's a bad idea. I do this as a side thing. It's a little thing. It's a little nugget in, you know, my investment portfolio, and you should do the same. I don't recommend investing in gold right now because gold is blowing up, and that's usually a top signal. But listen, guys, as long as no massive economic factors impact the rest of the world, I think we're going to be okay. However, one last thing. There are a lot of talks that we could be seeing a top soon just in general markets like the S&P and crypto and stuff like that. Could that impact the TCG in like 6 months if we see a crash in those markets? Yes, because people's wealth and savings are going to be impacted, and people are not going to be able to afford the prices we're seeing right now. So keep that in mind, but that's only if that happens. Anyways, guys, at the end of the day, be smart with your money. We don't know anything. I don't know the future. We can only just make a speculative guess and hope for the best. But anyways, guys, I hope this was a great video. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Check out one of the videos or a video that should pop up on the screen. Click it, and I will see you over there.